Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia Lofthouse, and this is free At Last Ministries, and it goes wherever I go. And right now, I am outside in a beautiful place where I came to visit somebody, and I knew I wouldn't get back home in time to preach the gospel, so they told me to go ahead and do it here. So here I am. Anyways, happy 4th of July. My birthday is July the 3rd, and I hope you all enjoy it. But I thought that's what I was going to preach on today is, what is your freedom worth? Mine is worth so much. My mother was born on the 4th of July. I have brothers that were in the military, in Vietnam, Korea. My brother and his son were in Saudi Arabia together. Two brothers were in Vietnam. I mean, we're a military family. We believe in the military. We believe in freedom. But I'm going to go back to about where all this started, okay? And, you know, a lot of people believe that slavery was only the black people, but that's not true. Back in the day of Nehemiah and all of those, Abraham, you know, back then, Abraham had slaves. They all had slaves. Everywhere had slaves. But it says that, I'm going to just hang on to this since I don't have a pulpit. The slavery of Israelites was abolished by the prophets after the destruction of the Temple of Solomon. So at Solomon, they had all those slaves back then too. So I guess in the time of David and, you know, all those kings. But the prophet Nehemiah rebuked the wealthy Israelites in his day for continuing to own Israelite slaves. People would make them slaves when they owed them some money or something. They would come and get their children or the husband or the father. The husband or the father was worth even more because they were the money makers. They were the ones that were supposed to support the household. So if they took the father or the son or something, then they were taking a great price from them. So, but then the women, they would take the women and put them in the kitchen or, you know, to take care of the elderly people in the kingdom and stuff. And they had some really hard jobs. But anyways, and they didn't set them free. But hang on. So then they rebuked the Israelites for continuing to own Israelite slaves. The year of Jubilee. Woohoo! Every 50 years, the word Jubilee comes from the blast of the horn. Remember last week I was talking about the horn, about the blast, about the voice of God, that it sounds like the blast of a horn. And woo! Anyways, the blast of the horn is the year of Jubilee, or the opposite, whatever, comes from the Hebrew tongue and means the blast of the horn. During this time, the Israelites celebrated and rejoiced with a variety of activities, including releasing slaves, releasing prisoners, releasing captives, forgiving debts, no matter how much that debt was. You know, remember Jesus told one of the parables, and he said, if a man owed, there was a man that owed like $1 million. And he came to the king and he said, please forgive me, give me time and I promise I'll pay it all back. And the king felt sorry for him and said, I forgive you of the whole debt. The guy was just ecstatic and walked outside and met one of the men that owed him money. And he grabbed him and started punching on him and beating him and said, you owe me $50. Give it to me right now or I'll throw you in prison. And the man begged him and said, please, give me time and I'll give you the $50 back. And the man said no and threw him in prison until he was able to pay it all. They went and told that king that forgave him of all his debt what he had done. And that king went and sent for that man and brought him back and said, did I not forgive you your whole debt? He said, then why would you go out there and grab somebody who didn't even hardly owe you anything? And you put him in prison after you beat him up and then put him in prison till he paid the whole debt. Well, the same thing is, he said, throw him into outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. That man went into the dungeon. I mean, no telling what happened to him, but I'm sure he went to hell because usually that's what Jesus' parables mean. Okay, Alicia, trying to be nice here. So anyways, so that's what they're saying here too, that no matter what the debt was, whether it was $1 million or $50, your debt was paid. It was forgiven of you, and you were set free. Okay. Also, it was returning property to its original owner. I love that because this is where that story was. I always knew the story about what it was, didn't know where it came from. But Jesus told another parable about a woman and the unjust judge. Remember that one? It was about a woman who went to the judge and said, "Avenge me of my enemies. Avenge me of my enemies." When they came and they gave the property back to the people in the year of Jubilee, the 50-year freedom, said that she had no husband, she had no sons, they were all gone. But that property still belonged to her. She was the owner and held the title for it. But the judge didn't care about her, and she kept coming back. Every day she was the first one in line, and she said, "Avenge me of my adversary." Well, Jesus said that one day the judge said, "I don't fear God and I don't fear man, but because this woman constantly, continually wearies me, I'm going to give her all that she asked for." And that's where Jesus said, "And wouldn't your heavenly Father do the same thing for you if you came to him continually asking him the same to avenge you of your enemies?" I got a few I like to be avenged from. But anyways, no, I wouldn't. Ceasing all labor for a year. What do you think about that? How would you like to be told that you're not going to have to work for a whole year? I don't know how they got paid, but they got a whole year off of work. It says releasing all those bound by labor contracts and allowing the land to rest. Remember, God took 1 year, the seventh day to rest. So they got to rest the land. The land had to rest. There was too much building on it, too much property, too much everything on it. It was probably either the Jews building all their kingdoms or the Egyptians building all theirs. And then we come to the emancipation. I think I'm saying that right. The North and the South, where they fought, brothers and fathers against brothers and uncles and grandpas. They all fought because they both had different ideals of what freedom stood for. Some wanted to keep the slaves and keep their properties, the corn and all the wheat and everything. There were some slaves that wanted to stay, though. They loved being with their the owners and stuff, and even had a thing bore in their ear that showed that they belonged to that person, that by choice they wanted to stay with them. But the North and the South, they didn't see it that way. They wanted everybody free. And of course, when you're a slave forever, you want to be free. I know I would. So they fought, and the North won, of course. And Abraham Lincoln came, and he fought to free the slaves, and he was killed for it. But anyways, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of blood. But you know what? This is the last one. There was one more person. Oh, when they came with the emancipation, it said because for all equality, because that everybody was created equal, and that all men were created equal. Jesus came, and he felt that all people, not just men, but the women too, we all deserve to be free. We all deserve to have freedom and victory and liberty. And Jesus paid the price for that. He gave his own blood. He gave his own blood so that we could be free. And this is the 4th of July. We've got military people out there and all kinds of people that gave their lives so that you could be free, so that you could celebrate this 4th of July and set off firecrackers and, drive those elderly people crazy and the dogs crazy because they don't like them firecrackers. But I do. And so anyways, you all have a happy 4th of July. And remember that it came with a price. There was a great price paid. There was a great price paid for your freedom. So don't take it for granted. Don't disrespect the police. Don't disrespect the all these people out here trying to still save your lives. Do you know that the majority of the people, like the EMTs and the police officers, state troopers, all these people come right after they get out of the military? They want to continue to serve in their country, so they get out and they try to do that, and everybody treats them like a dog. Shame on you. Those men and women, they might not all be, the way you want them to be, but you ain't the way they want you to be either. So you need to learn some respect and take care of them, because this is their 4th of July too. They paid for that freedom. They paid for that day. So my mom, if she was alive, would stand here and tell you the same thing, that her sons are worth the freedom. And God bless you all, and be safe out there, okay? It's a dangerous 4th of July, so be careful. God bless you all. Till next week.